For Lincoln Elementary, I am with Miss Hill, and we actually don't have a reading program. We have the teachers get together and they create their own worksheets and everything, and mostly it's a lot of decoding text, and they go through and highlight like author's purpose and like different vocabulary that they don't know. And we do that almost every day with a passage, and they have a reading journal, and that's where they do all of their work. The block usually lasts about an hour. It starts before PE, and then they come back and they pick up where they left off after PE. We do have students. We have 2 students that leave and go out with the special education teacher, so they kind of miss that. And when they come back, sometimes she expects them to pick up where they left off, which I don't necessarily agree with because they don't really know where they're at. We have reading stations, and they're not strategically grouped. They have word work where they work on their iPads, and they usually work on spelling CD and vocabulary and things like that. They have read to self, and that's where they read their AR books if they don't have their points for the 6 weeks, or they get to pleasure read if they do have their points. They let's see, what's another one? Oh, they have listening station, and that's where they go, and usually she has it by week. They use a thing called Moodle on the computer, and they go by a week, and they listen to different books, and they get to take AR tests on those books. It's kind of like on YouTube, the videos are. And then there's a writing station, and she has different journals with different prompts on there, and she gets to, the kids get to pick what they want, and they usually write Dear Miss Hill, and they talk about whatever they want to in that. The materials that they use, that the teachers get together, all the same 3rd grade teachers use the same thing, and they have a folder in the workroom, and they just make copies every week. I'm not sure where they pull their vocabulary words from, but usually it's just dealing with, like, this week we talked about inferencing and author's purpose, so their vocabulary words were author's purpose, entertain, persuade, inform, things like that. And there's some math vocabulary thrown in there, like data and categories, collection, so things like that. And they like the program because they said, like, their principal and everything, they don't want a certain story every single week, just pulling from that same story. They want to do different things and decode text. So, like, they're big about that at Lincoln, decoding the text, understanding things. I don't think it's really comprehension. I think it's more finding what you know. I don't know how to explain that. They do, like, they highlight the title, and they try to guess what they think the story's going to be about, things like that. That's about it on reading. We do that every day that I'm there. They have a writing workshop, so I think that's really cool. They have a writing teacher that they go to twice a week. I don't see any kind of phonics or anything like that. I think some students need to be pulled, like within Tier 2 and Tier 3, but they're not. There are sometimes she pulls different students and she lets them read different passages, and she does the Dibbles oral fluency testing about once a week just to figure out if they're progressing or where they're at. So I agree with that. I like that. And she does that. And what I see that connects with me learning in Lit Block, I've seen a lot, like with informative text and with narrative. They're big on writing and author's purpose, and we've learned a lot about that, so I connect that. And they're big about, literature because they read different things, so I connect that way. And with writing, I connect that way. But really with phonics, I haven't seen them work on anything with phonics. And I think some of them really need it, because I've seen some of them spell, and they don't spell as well as I think some of them should in 3rd grade. They're not progressing because they don't get worked with that. So, like, their spelling tests are just 5 sentences each week, and the spelling words thrown in there. I think it is authentic, and the students I think they can learn from it because they're starting to understand why they're reading, because like Miss Hill says, they are instead of learning to read, they're reading to learn. But some of them need a little backtrack, and they need to learn to read, because some of them, when I double test them, sometimes they're not progressing, and I think they need to be. So I think that maybe needs a little work. Technology is super incorporated. They have their own computers in 3rd grade, and they take their reading and vocabulary test on there, and they're big on Stride testing, like Stride Academy, so they test on there a lot. And like with the YouTube and the iPads, they use that during center, so that's a big deal. They're big about technology at Lincoln. And the students do seem to learn the curriculum. I think sometimes they get lost because, I mean, they do almost the same thing every day. But Miss Hill does a lot of hands-on activities, but I don't feel like they're comprehending what they're reading. I understand that they're getting to know, like, you know, why they're reading, and, you know, guessing in the thing, like, why is the title like that? You know, what is the author's purpose? But I don't think, if you ask them questions about it, I don't know if they could tell you what they're reading. I mean, they could tell you all about it, like if it's for entertainment or informative, but they can't tell you what they just read if you gave them questions about it. So, but that's our reading program. I'm not 100% sure that I agree with it. I love Miss Hill, so I don't want to disagree with her, but I think some different things could be incorporated in there. So I'd love to ask her where they do just pull. I think they just randomly pull worksheets from different areas, like from the internet. They just Google like informative text for 3rd grade, and they print out that. But I think that's about it for our reading program.